Hello everyone, how are you doing today? So I have just made it to level 4 of WaniKani, and I figure we do our thing here. Since this is me pretty fresh at this new level, there's quite a bit that's getting thrown at us. Maybe 70 new slides or so. Some of these we've seen before, or alternate readings for things that we visited previously, or things that were just radicals before that didn't have readings. But let's not waste much time. Let's get right to. Alrighty. So first thing we've got up here is moto, meaning origin. Since this word is made up of a single kanji, it's going to use the kunyomi reading. You're trying to trace it back to their origins so you can learn more about them. You finally get there. It's a castle. The problem is that it's surrounded by a huge moat. A moto, if you will. You can't get past it because the drawbridge is up. Feel the frustration of this. Think about your goal and how close you are to getting to it if it wasn't for this lousy moat. The kanji and the word are exactly the same here. That means they share the same meaning as well. When it's used as a prefix, it takes on the related meaning of X or former. That'll be relevant for some of the additional bits that we get to later. But let's keep along our way. Next, we've got outside. Since this word is made up of a single kanji, it'll use the kunyomi reading as well. You look outside and it's totally frozen. You throw soto, or salt, outside to melt the ice. So we've got this kid out here. He's throwing his salt. He's melting down this ice. Not too crazy. We had another reading for this before as gai, but this one's going to be soto for the vocab reading. Next, we've got gaijin for foreigner. Who's the foreigner? Well, obviously the guy wearing jeans. So it's made from outside and person. So we've got the jin kanji as the second one here. But in this case, it's an outside person or a gaijin. And next up, we're using that moto reading from before for moto patona. This is going to be the kunyomi of origin, and it's just the kana, so we should be good on this. Note, for those unaware, duck in Spanish is pato, so we've got this motorcycle partner dude here. He's our moto patona. He's our ex-partner. I'm guessing he's an ex, because he's dead. He's a skelly man. He's our ex-partner, our moto patona. Next, we've got now. We had a previous reading for this, but this one on the vocab is ima. So I was thinking like ama. So I was thinking about that SpongeBob meme where he's like, I'ma head out now. So here we go. We got ima for now. Next, we've got kongetsu for this month. Only this month, your pet condor gets to sleep in your bed. You usually keep it in a cage, but once a year you make an exception, and that's this month. How cute. It's made up from now and moon, the same way that you would use moon for month with getsu, but this one has kon in front of it, so it's kon getsu. Note, the AI really did not want to draw a condor and a boy sleeping together. It threw some kind of content flag there. It really doesn't like that. So we get this penguin dude, but we can pretend it's a condor. We can use our imagination for that much at least. Kongetsu. Next up, similar to before, we have today, pronounced as kyo. The reading for this word is a complete exception, though the word itself is incredibly common and useful. When you think of today, think about what you have to do today for work. You have to work in one of those mall kiosks, that kio. Just think about how sad you are that you have to do this today. What a crummy day. It's sunny outside and you're stuck in a mall manning the hermit crab kiosk. I'm not sure why it's a hermit crab kiosk, but memorable enough. This reading mnemonic is pretty far away from the actual reading as far as reading mnemonics go. Use this to get yourself close, and then you use your own braid gaps to get you the rest of the way there. This one won't be as easy as most of the others, but do some good old-fashioned memorization. You should be okay. I won't ask you to do this much, fortunately. Thank you, Koichi, for the kind words. I don't think it's that far off. Kyo, for today. Next, we've got Kita for north. We had a previous reading of north. Also, I was thinking about Kita from Bochi the Rock. She's the pink-haired girl who does the Kita beam. So we got her in some like North Pole attire here. To be North Kita, if you will. Since you're going to the far north where it's very cold, the North Pole perhaps, one of the most important things to bring with you is a survival kita. In this case, that survival kit is going to compose of this spoon. So since that's one of the radicals that makes up north. Kita. Next is fur, ke. Since this word is made up of a single kanji, it should use the kunyomi reading. When learning the kanji, you didn't learn that. That's all good. Ke, look down. You're holding something covered in fur. It's a furry kettle. It's the weirdest kettle you've ever seen, but presumably it keeps the water hot for much longer. Ke, for fur. Next we've got hanbun for half. We've seen half before as han and bun before for half. So like a split bun in this case is a half a bun or a hanbun. Not too much to digest here. Kata for way. We've had way show up before, but not with this reading. You need to go a certain direction. How do you get there? By jumping into a catapult, and shooting yourself the right way. You need to get a particular direction fast. Consider the catapult next time. Kata. We got this kid. Kind of looks like he's got his legs raised up. He's got the helmet on from the top portion of this kanji, and he's in that catapult ready to fire. Kata. Half. We've seen this fella again. Same image, same reading. Han Solo cut in half. Made with triceratops radicals, holding up his umbrella, keeping him half dry. It's Han. Furi for old. If you're old, you're also furu, or it's furui. So furui. If you're old, you're also full of memories. You're probably full of old secrets, and you're full from old people food. Got some old people here. They've got food. They're probably full, and they're looking at their old photo albums. Nice guys. Furui. Second hand. Chuko. This is a Jugoku word. So we had Ko before, who was a kid that we were going to use for readings that involve Ko often. In this case, we've got this dude holding an old Game Boy. He's got a second set of hands coming out from the nothing to hold this old thing. It's a used Game Boy, a second-hand Game Boy. Chuko. Next up, we've seen this one before. Shi for city. Nothing too new to report here. I think of a city full of sheep, and we should be excuse me, we should be okay there. Measurement. This one's just a radical, so we don't have a reading. But have you ever used one of those math compasses? This looks just like one of those because this is the measurement radical. Compasses are used to measure things, just like this. You gotta do a measurement. The AI, I think, combined both interpretations of compass. But you know what? We'll work with it. Measurement. Next, also just a radical. Leader. This radical technically means person, like Gene, but we're going to shift the meaning a little bit here. It's kind of like the person radical, but it's taller and it's skinnier and it's standing above the rest of those peons. That's why this is a leader, not a regular old person. So we got this guy, he's got all his schoolmates, but this one's like the leader of all those schoolmates. He's bigger. Also, no AI weirdness with hands here. Classic, but we can still work with this. leader. Forehead, another radical. Sure, this forehead is a bit square, but that's because it's Frankenstein's monster's forehead. Also, did you notice that this is just the top part of the head radical? This is just the forehead part of that. So, you know, Frankenstein's monster's got that big forehead. We got this guy kind of squared off. You can think of the bolts coming out from the side. Forehead. Easy enough. Alligator. Since the mouth and teeth, or see the mouth and teeth of this alligator, which is facing to the right, you wouldn't want to get your hand stuck in there, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a pretty cute little guy. Alligator. Just a radical, no reading here. Roof. This is a roof. You know it's a roof and not a forehead because there's a little chimney sticking out of the top. And foreheads definitely don't have chimneys. So we're kind of framing this window here, but you can see all these roofs have their chimney. Just a radical, no pronunciation, roof. Ceremony. This radical looks like a person with a long dress or train running behind them. That's because it's a bride or groom going to their wedding ceremony. You usually have to wear a long dress or a cape if you're at a ceremony. So when you see the radical, think of the different ceremonies you might have to go to in your life and what you'll need to wear. I think it kind of looks like the wedding veil, so I placed the kanji above there. And I think this one's easy enough to remember. Ceremony. Next, spirit. It looks just like the katakana for ne. Ne for necromancer. That makes this a spirit brought back from the grave. Ooh. Get haunted. We got this necromancer dude. Kind of think of this portion swooping out as his arm here holding his staff. This other hand over here kind of casting. Maybe that's the ghost, whatever you want to think of it as. And this top dash represents his hood on top of him. Spirit. Branch. This is a cross growing out from this stool. So stool was another radical that was associated with this. It's branching off from it, if you will. The tree that this stool was made of is coming back to life in the form of a branch. So it's got that cross on top of it. And you've got the stool here. Branch. Energy. This radical is shaped kind of like a dam. See the wall and the water pushing over the top? If this radical is dammed, then it must create a ton of energy as well. This works out for me. I can kind of see the visual here. It's got kind of a watery looking swoop over there. We have like this top portion of the cliff. So we've got this hydroelectric dam here. Not too bad. Energy. World. There are no circles in kanji, remember? So imagine that these angles are really circles. A little circle and a big circle with a line running through them. Why, it's the world. The world looks just like this, with continents on the globe and the line is the equator. Can you see it? I also think these little top portions sticking out kind of look like giraffe antlers, so we've got those in there too. You could think of it as like a globe, and this like portion at the bottom is the base of the globe. Then we have the globe itself hanging within it, and we've got a little giraffe antler there for spice. This one's just a radical. I believe the reading here is sekai, though we're not being prompted for that just yet, but we can continue working with what we've got here. World. Next we have plate. This is a few plates on a drying rack. They're stacked together in a line. Imagine reaching out and grabbing one of those plates for yourself. This visual sticks pretty clear for me. We got the drying rack and all the plates lined up on it. Not too hard. Just a radical plate. Next up we got bamboo. Also just a radical. See how tall the stalks are with the little bushy things at the top? It kind of looks like bamboo if you use your imagination. So you see the little leaf portion towards the top there, and then the rest of the stick coming out. We've got 2 sticks of bamboo. Thread. Ito. We got pronunciations here. You have some thread. What's the first thing you do with it? You take it and you put it in your mouth and start sucking it down like spaghetti. You decide to ito the thread. Think about how it tastes. Think about how it feels in your throat. Let it get caught on your teeth and around your tongue. It's a weird feeling having to thread it in your mouth, and you want to use that weird feeling to remember you're going to eat it. The thread radical and thread are the same. So this one was a radical, but it does have an association that's exactly the same. So I figured we put them together. Ito. Similar case here. This will be used as a radical, but it carries its own meaning for Mimi. I think about Neko Mimi a lot, meaning cat ears. So in this case, it's just an ear in and of itself. Put your hand to your ear and sing me, 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 me. Listen to the tone with your ear. In this case, I'm thinking this girl's name here. Her name's Mimi. Look at Mimi. She seems nice, but you know, she's kind of trying to figure out what you're saying. Hand behind her ear. She's like, what was that? What was that? Me, 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 me. This is sort of a stereotypical singer sort of image. Make sure you concentrate a lot when you're listening to the me, 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 me tone. In fact, why don't you do it out loud right now? Make a little fool of yourself. It's fun. It'll help you remember. Me, 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 me. Ask Mimi. That's her ear. Remember her ear. Mushi. Insect. Insect radical. Also going to be showing up here quite a bit. It's an insect. Get it? You squish it with your foot. And what sound does that make? A mush. A mushy sound. Imagine little words that say mush flying out from under your foot. You mush the poor little thing. What does a mush sound like? You have to come up with something unique to yourself. Focus on it to remember this reading. Mushy. Poor little praying mantis dude. I was thinking this portion kind of looks like his abdomen sticking out a bit, and then we've got like the stock of his body. Which is why I went for a mantis specifically. Don't mush the mantis. Mushi. Hana. This one is a bit of a unique case, as this is just a radical. And there's more going on with the actual kanji for flowers specifically. But I figure we put the pronunciation in here too, just to get a little awareness of it. You see the little things sticking out of the ground? Those little things are pretty little flowers. You know they're flowers and not say grass, because they're spaced out. You'll learn grass later, and it'll be less spaced out, but somewhat similar to this, so keep that in mind. And for the actual flower kanji, your leader can't stop planting flowers. He's going crazy. Maybe it's the pollen. He comes up to someone named Hannah. This is Hannah. And starts planting flowers in her face, probably killing her in the process. We're not going to kill Hannah. She's nice. Do you know anyone named Hannah? I do. Any famous people, perhaps? Try to come up with someone you know of named Hannah that you can imagine to be in this mnemonic. Help you remember it better. We got our Hannah. Here she is. She's holding flowers. Kind of makes me think of like a FF7 Aerith flower girl kind of situation. We got Hannah right here. Aka, meaning red. Also a radical. Carries its meaning and reading though. Aka. Probably come across this a few times. I'm thinking about Aka Inu from One Piece. Red Dog, as you will. He does some things to members of the cast. Think of Fozzie Bear. He says, waka, 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 a lot. Now think of an evil, red, and I mean totally red Fozzie Bear. He drops the W, and he just says, aka, 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 because he's totally evil. Also, I think Akuma means devil. I don't know if that's related to the red reading at all, but that aka with this evil imagery checks out. You'll have to think of him as really, really red though, like glowing, searing kind of red. Red enough for you to associate red with this evil Fozzie. If you do, then you'll be good to go. As long as you know his catchphrase as well. And he's got an apple there, another iconic red object. He's all redded out. He's gonna eat that apple, and he's looking a little too hungry for it. He's an evil bear. Aka. Red. Meh for C. And this will be a radical in and of itself. But I was doing remembering the kanji themed Pokemon list before, and I generated this one based off of Hoot Hoot, and it stuck well enough for me. The radical is just kind of eye with like some legs coming off of it. So what's a thing with big eyes and distinct legs? We got Hoot Hoot, we got owls. You see something, it's walking towards you, but you need to see it better. When the person comes close to you, realize that person is me. Meh. Think about the feetsies with the legs coming up. It means to see. Xia for a car. Doesn't this look like the top-down view of the frame of a car? There are the rods that make up the base of the car and the things that the wheels go on. That's why this radical is the car radical. Pronounced xia for the onyomi at least. When we When we need to remember the reading xia, we use shaman. There's a car. It's the nicest car you've ever seen. Exquisite, beautiful. Wouldn't you be surprised to learn it belongs to a shaman? Xia? Well, it does. The shaman charges a premium for his shaman services, so he can afford a fancy car like this. The more fantastic you make this car, the better. Also, feel the surprise of a human shaman getting out of this car. What a cool dude that shaman is. Look at that face on him. Nothing bothers him. That's the shaman. That's Xia right there. Kai. This also inspired from that Pokemon remembering the kanji thing before. Figured no need to generate a new one when this one was already in my head. Kai is made up of the shellfish radical. Or it is the shellfish radical, excuse me. It's just kind of eye with legs on there, so we got this like Cyclops Shelder type situation going on. Giant eye on top of some fins. Imagine the giant eye to be on top of a clam or a mussel. It has little fins which runs around, escaping from your every attempt to capture it. That's why this is the shellfish radical. Then for the reading itself of Kai, to get some shellfish, all you have to do is hop on your kayak to get some. Shellfish live in the water. So this is think of yourself having a shelter with legs. You nicknamed him Kai because you caught him on your kayak. Iconic little guy, I feel like. Shellfish. Soku for foot. Straightforward enough. What do you wear on your foot? You wear a sock. Soku. Do you see the dude doing a flying dragon kick to the right? What does he hit with the target? Obviously, it's his foot. So if we look at the shape of this guy, think of him doing a kick. Here's his arm. Here's one leg. Here's the other. Here's his head. He's doing that kick, landing right with the socks. Nice, cute, striped socks. Soku for foot. Fu or bu. I thought this was one reading initially. I thought it was Fubu, so I was thinking about dudes with like a Fubu jacket. But we can work with just Fu here. To remember Fu, we will use the word fool. Think of those jokes where someone says something, and then it ends with a loud not. Oh, this means not, by the way. I don't think I actually said that. Not. This means not. Fu. Someone is doing that over and over. And what is that person? That person is a fool. Be sure to feel irritated at that person. Think in your head that they're telling these dumb, not jokes. How much of a fool they are. How much of a fool you are for sitting there and listening to them. So he's got his gestures cap on. He's a fool. He's wearing FUBU. He's a fool wearing FUBU. On the stage doing stand-up comedy with not jokes. What the heck? He's not your type. Moving on. Samurai. She. The samurai radical looks a lot like the dirt radical. The difference is the horizontal top line. For samurai, the top is longer because he's holding swords. Dirt can't really hold anything because its arms are too short. Dirt has arms, very short ones. So when you see this radical, think long arms for some long swords. That's a samurai, my kind of sheepy samurai guy. The most famous samurai in Japanese history was the illustrious sheep samurai. He wasn't just a sheep who learned the way of the sword. He would use the wool from the sheep enemies he killed to create his armor. Picture the sheep samurai. Maybe draw him on a piece of paper. He's a sheep wearing wool armor, and he has ram horns on the hilt of his katana. We just got the sheep samurai guy. He's looking pretty distinct. He could do the job. You could get some wool armor. Shi for samurai. Bei for rice. The kanji kind of looks like rice, like the plant itself, and just got like the grain sticking up here. Pronounced bei. Not to be confused with a rice patty. This is just raw rice, the grain that grows out of the ground when rice is raw and fresh. When rice is particularly ripe, it'll kind of look like this at the top of the stalks. So the long leaves with the little rice tufts at the top. That's why this radical is rice. Bei. And of course, pronunciation, same radical, nothing changing here. You've got tons of dry grains of rice. You have no idea what you do with it or what you're going to do with it. Then you come up with the solution. All of this rice could go towards filling up the bay, so you have more land to farm on. In your mind, bulldoze the rice into the bay, watching it fill up, then pile high. It's not particularly good looking land, but it'll do. It's already full of seeds, so that's pretty good. The important thing is that you have way too much of the stuff. So the only way to get rid of it is to dump it in a large body of water, and that large body of water is the bay. That rice bay. Loiter. This one's just a radical. The leader radical has a little something extra on top of him. It's holding him down. We got a backpack on him here. It's holding him back because it's causing him to wait. It's causing him to loiter. Think about a teenage fella just chilling at the gas station. Doesn't even have a car. He's got nothing to do there. He's just killing time. He's loitering. Loiter. Bed. You have to complete the line in the middle on the right side in your mind. But you see the rectangle bed and the pillows. This is totally a bed. That missing line is where you pulled the sheets back when you got up this morning. Cute little bed. I'd sleep on it. Seems homey. Bed. Pie. Obviously, this looks just like the good old 3.14, something all people are supposed to learn about. It's a math symbol that has to do with circles. It's pi. So we'll see this radical show up. No pronunciation, no meaning outside of the radical itself, but we'll see the shape around. Pi. Cliff. See the cliff? It's facing towards the west. What ocean is to your west? That's the direction this cliff is facing. I was originally trying to get like a Lion King kind of raising Simba up kind of cliff, but honestly this one came up and it looks just the right shape for this cliff. Umbrella. Do you know how the bottom of an umbrella is shaped? It has a hook that curls around for the handle. So when you see this radical, you should think of the bottom of an umbrella, which will help you remember that this means umbrella. Yeah, we got the shape here. This one doesn't have a reading itself, but I thought I'd pull up some of the other kanji that we see this shape in. Thanks, bill, electricity, riot, milk. We see that distinct kind of hook shape there. Think about this cute girl holding this umbrella. Xia, meaning master. This king has a drop of water floating above his head. It's made up of this pretty much the same kanji as king. It just has this little water drop on top. That's because he's not just a king. He's the master of water, master of elements, master of all things. And of course, this reading will show up later. But do you remember back to the radical mnemonic that we're here right now? So yeah, where the master's floating a water drop above his head. Imagine back to there. Once you do, the most amazing thing happens. The master sends the drop of water into a chute, and it goes careening through an intricate series of them. So we've got this like maze-like section. Think about him putting that water droplet through there. Picture this master of water controlling the droplet as it flies around inside these chutes, like he's solving a difficult puzzle with it. Astounding. Chute. Hyaku for 100. There's a leaf growing out of the sun. You know what? I'm not even gonna go with these other things. Though actually the second one's kind of funny. It's different than what we have here, but I'll explain. You fly closer, counting all of the 100 leaves when you hear a strange sound. You take off your space helmet and you hear Hyaku. You know that laugh. It's Goofy. On top of the 100th leaf, Goofy is laughing and waving around. He must have built this leaf tower to get your attention. Imagine hearing Gyahuk over and over as you save him from being strained on the sun. How would you feel being stuck in a cramped ship with laughing Goofy and his 100 leaves? Oh, you thought he would leave those behind? Nope, they saved him, so you have to take them back. Happy travels. So originally, I was doing remembering the kanji, and I thought that this kind of looked like a dude. Like we have like his eyes here, and then we have his nose coming out. We have his mouth, and it's kind of open, and he's shooting a beam out, is what I thought. So I think this face looks like this dude shooting out this beam. And I was thinking he hits you for 100 HP. That's the mnemonic I thought of at the time. This Goofy one, honestly, is pretty good. But I already had this, and I really think it looks like this, so I can't get it out of my head anymore. So Hyaku. Maybe he's using this against Goofy, and Goofy goes Hyaku as it hits him for 100 HP. Gotta get some more Goofy dogfights in there. Spikes. Just a radical, no reading. Just thinking it looks kind of like a police spike strip, but in Mega Man, spikes are pretty frustrating. Pretty iconic in Mega Man. One touch, you're done. That's it. So we just got some spikes over here. Shouldn't be too hard to remember, I think, in this case. No reading, just a radical. Moving right along. So this one also was on the Remembering the Kanji end, so we've got an older render for this. When the sun is over the cross, it's time to go to church, which is so darn early. If we want to go to church early, you need to be fast. Otherwise, you'll be too late. So for early, made up from sun and cross, and we can see that. We got this cross here. We got this. So I think it looks like a sunflower. So I was thinking about the Pokemon Sunflora. And it's kind of got like an old person face in there. And when you're forced to get up fast and early, you can feel it in your soul. You're so tired and it's so early, and your soul cries out, please don't make me go this fast this early. I'm going to leave your body if you keep this up. That's what your soul says to you. I was also thinking old people tend to get up early for church. So we got this old face on here. It's filled with soul, brightens your soul right up. Very good. Soul for early. Next we got Cho for town, like Kabukicho. And it's made up from rice paddy and street. We'll see. When you see both the rice paddy and a street in the same place, you have the makings of a whole town. Think about it. A single farm wouldn't need a whole street. Just paths would do. There's a street next to this rice paddy. So there must be other people, which makes this a town. And for the reading, you go to visit this nice little town. But then, there she is. Every time you walk down the street woman, Miss Cho, arrives to ruin your day. Look at her. She's crying and stuff. Always something depressing going on in Miss Cho's life. Remember imagining Miss Cho in great detail in level 2? Time for some of that work to come to fruition. Imagine Miss Cho walking down the street of the town towards you. You're ready to make your day bad. She breaks things as she walks towards you, knocks you down for walking around in her town. She says, whenever there's a street, you'll find Miss Cho. And then spits onto your back as she walks away. Miss Cho has no respect for you. You disgust her. That's why she's crying just from the sight of you. This is her town. You remember, this is Miss Cho's rice paddy. This is her street. Seki. We've seen this one show up before. This means stone. We had the other one for just the radical itself, where we had the rock with its mouth open. But here, you throw a stone through a window, and you can see something very sexy, very seki. Whoops, maybe you shouldn't throw stones through windows, or you'll see people's sexy times. This kid shouldn't be seeing these things, but he's seeing them, and it's very seki. He's a pure boy though, but he can't keep his eyes off it. Understandable. Stone, seki. Horns. This one's also just a radical. Can you see the horns? You could put these horns on anything. Donkeys, peoples, monkeys, so on. That's exactly what we'll be doing when we learn kanji that have horns too. So we got a monkey here, and this monkey's got horns. Seems like a good guy though. I trust this monkey, even though he's a horned monkey. Beggar. I was kind of thinking of like the Ocarina of Time dude. He's over there. He's like, please with C, give me something with C, sell me something with C. Doesn't this look like someone on their knees, holding their hands out, clasped, and begging for something? Money, their life, etc. That's why this radical is known as the beggar. Here's some things that it shows up in. Comes up in give and torture. Copy. So we'll see this guy around. Just think of it as the beggar for now. Past. It's made from dirt and private. Pronounced Kyo. To remember the reading, Kyo will use little Kyoto. This will differentiate Kyo from Kyoto, which is a regular size Kyoto. Get it? You decided to bury all this private dirt from your past in little Kyoto. Yeah. That stuff, is from when you were just little and you don't like to think about it. Imagine physically, literally burying your past child self. If you hide in little Kyoto, no one will ever be able to dig it up. So I was thinking a little model of Kyoto. Got this guy. He's burying this here. He's got a big like pitchfork to do the job. He's doing it in his private backyard, burying Kyoto in dirt. Means past. Kyoto is a place with a very colorful past. I always think about Pokemon Gen 2 when I think about Kyoto. I'd like to be there someday. Goal for numbers. Made from mouth, ground, and prison. Alright, numbers. There's a mouth in the ground. In our case, it's a hatch. Inside of it is some kind of prison. You can't quite get to it. If you've ever seen Lost, this will sound familiar. On the hatch, there's actually a series of numbers that you don't understand. You want to know the numbers to the hatch? Yells an old voice from inside. You say yes, and the voice gives you the numbers and you're in. You go down into the prison, where there is one prisoner. Grandpa Koichi. No, for the reading Go. We're going to use Grandpa here because it's used for the Go reading. So just remember that Go comes from Koichi's grandpa, Goichi. Yep, Grandpa Goichi keeps saying numbers as you free him from prison. It's just one after another. Numbers. Hopefully old man Goichi isn't crazy. I was thinking about like Gerald Robotnik in Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure 2. He's out there, he's in the prison, he's got scribblings and numbers all over the walls, trying to destroy Earth. That works for me. Sonic Adventure 2 is something I think about a lot. You probably think about it less, but just think about Grandpa Goichi out here crunching the numbers in prison. Center. Oh, same pronunciation as king, but it's got big and head. So I was thinking about like a jewel or a bindi on a king's head. If someone has a big head, you have to try to focus on the center of it when you talk to them. This is the center of the king, the O's head. So you have to be extra careful not to look anywhere else. The king will definitely cut off your normal sized head if he sees you looking all over his big head and not at the center. You gotta keep eyes focused on the prize, my friend. Think about that O's jewels. O. Da for hit. Take your fingers, made from finger and street, to the street to hit some people. Street fingers are for curling into a fist, and that street fist wants to do some hitting. As you hit one chump after another, suddenly your dad, Da, comes marching out of your house. Uh-oh, Dad caught you hitting, which honestly isn't a very nice thing to do, so he has every right to stop you. Now imagine your dad saying, "Don't do a hit," over and over at you. I'm sorry, Dad, but the streets were calling me. This kid belongs to the streets for sure. He's got a baseball bat. He's going to hit some homers on your skull, bucko. He looks like he's been hit a few times himself. Hopefully not from Dad. Dad looks a little beat up too. This family has got some like Yakuza energy in them. They've been scrapping. But he's gonna go hit someone with that bat. Da is gonna try and stop him. Da, hit. Koari for ice. Add a drop of something magical to water and suddenly turns into a big block of ice. Just like that. We got a drop and water. Together makes ice. Okay. And for this monomic, we're going to use Cory from Cory in the House. Iconic anime, if you will. When you think of ice, I want you to think of someone frozen with the ice. Do you know anyone named Cory? Cory in the House? Anyone famous named Cory, perhaps? Corey Feldman? Imagine this Cory person frozen solid with ice. How did this happen? Was it your fault? Imagine the situation that would get Cory frozen like this. Typical anime. Things like this happens all the time. Cory in the House. Iconic. Mo. To say humbly. There's a cross in your mouth, so the things you say are very pious. Everything you say humbly. As you're saying all those humble things, you're also mowing your neighbor's lawn. Your neighbors love you so much because you're so humble, and you mow their lawn for them. Imagine mowing your neighbor's lawn while you humbly say how bad you are at mowing lawns. What a good neighbor you are. Look at this kid's neighbors. They love him. They love how he mows this lawn for them. He's so shy about it. He's so humble. What a good boy. Mow. That's what he does to them lawns. Sen for previous. Made from slide, dirt, and legs. Slide some dirt on your legs and you can feel you're from a previous time. The rest of this mnemonic we're not going to go with. We're going with a reading mnemonic here. As you sit there pretending you're in a previous time, you see a centaur. That's right. Centaurs are from way in the past. Centaurs were definitely real in the past. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're just afraid of the truth. So we've got this centaur looking at pictures here. They look pretty old. They're pictures of the past. Maybe they're his past. All these horse pictures. Maybe these were his brethren, his family. Maybe he's a half horse, half man. Maybe he's got some horse brothers. I don't know. But he's been thinking about the previous days, the days of old. Sen for centaur, meaning previous. Me for name. Mei. Made from evening and mouth. So when does evening mouth appear? Turns out, evening mouth only comes out to talk in May. May. You know this because it's just starting to be spring. And when you look around, you're watching evening mouth again. You see some spring flowers come up. You know what they say. April showers bring May flowers. What do May flowers bring? They bring the evening mouth, baby. Think about that evening mouth coming out in the May evening, or in the April evening, getting ready for May. What's it gonna say? What are those lips gonna say? It's gonna say your name. Say my name, say my name. When no one is around you, say, baby, I love you. And that name is May. And then, meaning here, made from gun and cow. Uh-oh, I don't like that. We're gonna go with this reading mnemonic here. It's New Year's, though, so when you bring the dead cow back home, it's time to celebrate using the cow's organs and bones. That's a big graphic. You and your siblings construct a Nendroid. Nendroids are Japanese toys, little plastic figurines. Google it if need be. You make a little cow Nendroid holding a gun. How cute. How funny that you use dead cow parts to make a miniature cow holding a gun, much like the one you murdered earlier. Imagine yourself playing with an Nendroid as you think about how weird it is to make a cow Nendroid out of a dead cow. So we've got this cow factory here, and they're systematically doing what they're doing to these cows. You don't need to like the imagery, so we got something a little cuter here. It's a new year. It's 2024, and this facility is just cranking out these cow Nendroids. Nen for year. All right, we're about 43 minutes in. We've still got a few to go. We'll keep cranking. Dan, meaning man. Rice patty power comes from a man. It's rice patty plus power. One man, in fact. He's running on a big water wheel next to the rice paddy, providing all of that power for the rice to grow and to be harvested. Thinking about him just like plowing through the rice field. A man can power an entire rice paddy until dawn. Dawn. Once dawn comes, they need a little break, so they nap. But once dawn is over, they're back at it again. Picture the man watching as the first light of dawn tints the color of the sky, turning it pink and orange. He stops working, lies down, and falls asleep. Look at him. We can kind of see, you can think of these as like legs coming up over here. Here we have the rice paddy itself. And this man, that's Dan. Dan's working till dawn. And then he takes himself a little nap in the fields. Dawn. Maru Goto, meaning wholly or in its entirety. If you go to a circle, you need to do it. Wait, let me read that again. If you go to a circle, you need to go in its entirety. That means you have to circle around the whole thing. Otherwise, it isn't even a circle. It's like a line or a squiggle or something. You often hear this word when talking about food, like when biting into a whole apple or accidentally swallowing a whole grape without chewing. But it's not just for food. You can also use it to talk about memorizing a whole book from the beginning or end, for example. We used Maru and Mario for round before. So this time, Mario's got this apple. He'll eat that sucker whole. He's reading this whole book tonight. That apple's going to give him power for it. Maru Goto. Mario's going to read this whole book and eat a whole apple in its entirety. Ikiru, to live. There's one word with kanji and hiragana attached to it. It's going to use a kunyomi reading. You've heard this rule before. But what does it mean to live? Life is pretty icky. Iki. And the iki comes from the hiragana part. But you have to take that ickiness and roll with it if you want to have a good life. If you want to live. I don't know how the AI decided to get guts in on this. I just told him like a man, arms crossed in like purple mud, icky purple mud. But we got guts out of that. Ikiru, he's good. He's the struggler. He's gonna live, brother. Guts will make it through this. Ikiru, to live. Kuchi ni suru. This is we're getting into a vocab section now, so we're having a few things that have these here. So you've already learned that ku means mouth, where it's followed by the particle e, which pinpoints a location. The verb suru means to do. So you're doing something to your mouth. Logically enough, this expression is used to describe lots of actions that you do with your mouth. It's often used to mean to mention or to say, but with an added descriptive nuance that you said something accidentally or unexpectedly, maybe something you shouldn't have said. So in this case, we're going to be whispering secrets with that mouth. What that mouth do is going to mention something it shouldn't have. It can also mean other things that you do with that mouth, like to eat or to drink. What that mouth do? Kuchi ni suru. Kuchi ni do. You know what I'm saying? What that mouth do? Also can mean to say, to eat, or to drink. To mention. Which one? Dare. I can think of many characters being like dareka and being like, which one of these? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Which one of these notes are you going to start singing from? The question word dore is used to ask which one out of 3 or more choices. So this guy, think of him like singing to himself. He's trying to find the right album. He's over here like dore, eto. He's over here. He's looking for which music he's gonna buy today. Which album? Dore. Noto. We got Light Yagami here. He's with that Death Note. He's got that notebook. Noto is shortened form of notebook with an extra O on the end, since you can't end a word with T in Japanese. You can also use this to mean notes in the context of taking down notes in class. Noto for notebook. 20th day. Hatsuka. Words that count days use an exceptional reading. The readings for Niju are exceptions, and Ka takes the kunyomi reading. Here's a mnemonic to help with that. If you make one hat for 20 days, you'll have enough hats hatsu to fill up your car completely. Yeah, Hatsuka. Okay, Hatsuka. That's a lot of days and a lot of hats. You got 20 days, a car with 20 hats. Hatsuka. Postage stamp. Kite. Used from the mnemonics for cut and hand. To remember the meaning of this word, just think about in the olden days before perforation was invented. People had to cut their postage stamps by hand. It took forever, especially if you had a lot of friends to mail things to. Be thankful that perforation was invented to save you time cutting them. There's some silliness going on with this AI here. He's using these scissors like they're a knife, chopping over at these stamp. I don't know what's going on here. He doesn't have the finger in the loop. Text here are all kind of weird. Maybe he's Russian. I don't know. But he's working with postage stamps. He's at the post office. Kite. Also note this double consonant here, so it's more like kite. And when you write this, you have to double these up to get this little tiny oo in there. Note that, because I'm sure that's a mistake I'm going to make along the lines of my life. Moving on. 4th day. Yoka. Same kind of double consonant activity going on here. This is a Jugoku word, which means we're going to use the onyomi reading. You already know the kunyomi reading for she, so that's fine. The n gets turned into a small tsu though, or I guess it's yon in this case. Think of it this way. On the 4th day of being lost in the wilderness, you start yelling, "Yo, car!" Out of desperation, never getting an answer, you keep on marching, occasionally yelling, "Yo, car!" But no one ever comes to help you. The tragedy is the car is right behind them the whole time. That's rough, buddy. But he keeps crying out, "Yo, ka! Where's that car? When's it coming? Man's got needs. He's out here." Yotsu. I was thinking about Yotsuba. She's got these 4 little things. Iconic for anyone who's ever been familiar with 4chan. By the way, that's where the 4 comes from. Yotsu, Yotsuba. Easy enough. But since this word consists of kanji with hiragana attached, it's going to use the kunyomi reading. The part of yon gets converted to a small tsu though, so watch out for that. 4 things. You got her 2 fingers up twice. 4, yotsu. Terebi. Terebi comes from the English word television. It's been shortened, which is really common with loan words in Japanese. The V sound becomes B too. Terebi is sometimes written as TV, but even then it's usually pronounced as terebi. Now my brother and I have this running joke about Satoru Iwata coming in on a Nintendo Direct or an E3 and announcing that they have found a new way to beam games directly to your brain, and he's going to use that with his new technology, the telebeam, the terebeam. Iwata comes out here announcing terebeam, coming directly to you. So we got this Iwata lookalike here. He's holding up this little TV to announce terebi. And you know what? That's going to be the last one for today. A bit of a longer recording, approaching an hour here. But hopefully this is helpful to myself and hopefully maybe even to you. So thank you for listening and you have a wonderful day.